And we're live. I hit the button.
Here we go.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome welcome all to the OneTap Gaming Podcast, episode 14. First and foremost, if you're here, you're listening, thank you. We appreciate you. Be sure to do the little follow, commenty, likey, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, it is December 30th, 8:04. So
It is
a couple minutes late, but that's because we were finalizing some new stuff. I've got a new PC case and having to redo a lot of the old settings and stuff like that from something that got mixed up during the whole transfer of all the PC parts. I don't know, but we're working through those kinks. But it looks nicer. You know, finally got in the modern era with like the glass panel. So
yeah, it looks like a Stormtrooper-esque kind of vibe.
That is the idea. I got the NZXT H100. It's white and black, has a glass panel on the side, and my white. Nice. I have a white mouse, a white keyboard, peripherals with a black mice, black headset, and then I'm gonna get. I don't know. I might put I was telling Brian this the other day. I might get like a Stormtrooper like action figure, like one of the classic OG ones, and throw them in the case. Or I might shift everything to blue lighting and do like a clone trooper, before they turn bad.
Ooh, yeah, that would be cool. You could even get some like custom paint if you got some the right kind of like enamel paint for something like miniatures or something, and then you could find a way to like paint in blue some lines, some like clone trooper lines.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I'm gonna get a vinyl. My girlfriend or fiance found a couple of good vinyl stickers to put on the side of my case or whatever that match all that kind of stuff. Just need red lights on the inside. Yeah. I got some surprises that are going to go inside that you might like, Kai.
Do you
next
have
time you come over.
RGB lights on the inside?
No.
Ooh.
No, because I had a solid wall case. But I have some surprises that are going to be going in it soon that she'll get to see, and then I'll show everybody when I get them tomorrow. Anyway, welcome, and all. My name is Solemn. Joined with me as always is my co-host Rums. Rums, how you doing today, bud?
Well, I got an SSD finally.
I know,
or a bigger SSD.
It was a process, man. Working you through that. Let me tell you.
In case you're listening and you're thinking about getting an SSD here soon, and you're getting a Evo 860 by Samsung, be warned, they do not come with screws.
They do not.
So, and they're very specific, tailored machine screws that you can't find just anywhere.
No, you need a specialty hardware store. They're M3 and M2 screws.
Yeah, so. M3 3mm.
Yep. Yeah. It's pretty standard PC case. It's actually the second most common PC case screw. But most people throw their screws away or lose them. So if you're building a PC and you have extra screws, keep them.
Yes, put them
I have
somewhere.
big baggies of large screws and rods and stuff from past builds. So anyway, today we're doing kind of like a year in a review. Like I said, it is December 30th at the time of the recording. So one day away from New Year's Eve. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season, whether you're celebrating Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah,
yeah, dude.
Whatever.
How was Christmas?
Christmas was fantastic. I got a new monitor.
Nice.
New hot, great, cutting edge FPS monitor for games and stuff like that. So I'm rocking like negative response time. It's predicting my movements in the future. Really crisp color settings. No, it's nice.
It's good.
For those that may be just tuning in for the first time or haven't been with us for a whole lot or not talked to us in Discord, by the way, join the Discord, talk to us all the time. I'm a big data nerd. I love recording and like looking at little tests and things like that, especially when it comes to tech stuff. But I ran reaction time tests on the new monitor compared to the old monitor, which was 60 FPS and 5 millisecond response time, right? Oh. So between that and this one, which is 241 millisecond, there was an average increase of like 30 millisecond response time between 3 or 4 different participants who ran 3 or 4 different tests, which is kind of cool.
That's nuts, dude. I didn't know you were running a 5 millisecond response time.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it was, all of my old monitors were for fighting games because that was what I played most competitively. So the extra delay didn't actually matter because I was counting 60 frames anyway, and playing with input delay was natural. But it's a big difference when you switch to 1 millisecond, man.
Yeah.
It's a great. But yeah, no, and then the best gift I got was I did, if you don't follow me on Twitter at SolemnFPS, I did get engaged on the 19th of December. Yay. If you're ever in chat in the live stream on Twitch or in the Discord, Lady Miriam, me and her got engaged and are in the process of planning weddings and finishing schools and all that kind of fun stuff. So we did. We did.
Congratulations.
I know. I appreciate it. What about you, man? I got to talk to you a little bit over the holidays, but You had some excitement
Well,
Christmas morning, and
yeah. So I live north of Nashville, and if you follow the news, don't live under a rock even in the slightest, you'll know that Nashville got hit with a vehicle-borne IED or a bomb. Won't dwell on it a lot. Not a fun topic, but
nope.
yeah, there was a bomb went off in Nashville in front of the AT&T data center and disrupted my service for the following 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
So I didn't get to. It was a pretty caveman Christmas.
Yeah.
Bunga bunga.
That's okay. It means you didn't blow a bunch of money on Steam sales, which is nice.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
but we did. And please let us know in the comments, responses, whatever. Talk to us on Twitter how your Christmas and stuff was, holidays were. But we're prepping for the new year. We're prepping for new goals, new timelines, all that kind of stuff. So we're taking a look back at 2020. Crazy, absolutely wild year in the world, in gaming, all kinds of good stuff. And bad stuff happened throughout the entire year. So
It's true.
starting off at the beginning of the year, it's kind of a slow news day. We had World War III for like a month, maybe, and then the plague hit and gaming spiked through the roof. Tons of people were building computers, playing on new consoles, influxes of people onto MMOs, shooter games, multiplayer games, new crowds, new people watching Twitch, all kinds of a new avenue for this industry that has kind of hit this renaissance almost with the downfall of actual social interaction.
I like to relate gaming amidst COVID as what like baseball was in World War II
that's pretty
era.
good. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
If you're watching the live show or the VOD on YouTube, you can. I'm wearing a Red Sox hat, so I get the baseball reference. It's very apt, but no, it's a big one. But yeah, the first quarter of the year was mainly like school focus and getting everything transferred over, and then Valorant hit, which I think was like the big story because that's what sparked this podcast, and that's why you're watching us or found us, because that is like 80% of the content we put out is Valorant related. So for the first little bit, I want to talk about what Valorant did that we enjoyed and what Valorant did that we didn't enjoy, and kind of hit what we'd expect in the near future of the game as far as next year goes. So Valorant, really smooth release, in all honesty, which was kind of cool to see. It went pretty flawlessly from closed into open beta into full release. The use of Twitch drops in order to get keys was really, really cool and really dope.
Yeah.
And
I want to talk about smooth release because that wasn't something that we saw. It was bugs.
Yeah,
there really hasn't been a lot of Valorant bugs. There have been a few that have been patched out, but it's when Valorant gets a bug, it's one bug, and then it's usually patched out, within
super
a week.
quick. Yeah, and I think that goes a testament to how they've designed the back end of the game. I do a lot of programming that's in part of my major. It's cybersecurity and some background with computer science, and going back into a completed program, trying to find, reassess, and then fix a bug, and then report it out in a timely manner is not easy. It's very difficult. So for them to be able to do that super duper quick. So there is that. Brian saying we forgot something good about 2020. So we'll have to hear from him.
Something good.
Yeah, we'll have to hear from him. But I did like the smooth release of Valorant. And Valorant did win the multiplayer game of the year this year from the Game Awards, which was kind of sick. So Brian's memeing in chat, just like normal. Come and join the brainy games over here at twitch.tv/OneTapCast. But no, I did. I enjoyed it a lot. And the game has kind of rebirthed a genre that we had seen kind of die down in North America, which was the TAC FPS. Traditionally, the CSGO framework. Rainbow Six is alive and well, and it's got a lot of players, but Rainbow Six feels really different than CSGO.
I played a good amount of Rainbow Six with my friends in the other Discord. Games. Really?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't feel like anything like CS:GO or Valorant. Valorant feels like a completely different flavor than
100%.
Rainbow Six Siege has, and they still have individual agents, so I guess they're operators, but they have their operators which have their own abilities. They have their own, well, not abilities, but they have their own,
special. Yeah, like little kits and stuff, right?
Yeah, and it just feels like a completely different game, even though it is in the realm of TAC FPS. So.
I don't know. I enjoy the gunplay that's come back with Valorant. Somebody said it the other day. I hadn't quite been able to put my tongue on it. Like people always say, well, Valorant's just like CS:GO, and I'm like, yeah, sort of, but it's different. It feels the engine feels slightly different. And somebody goes, oh well, it's more like CS Source or CS 1.6, and I was like, oh,
Kinda.
CS 1.6, and it brought me back, and it makes so much more sense the way the engine feels and the way
Yeah.
everything's transferred over. But with one of the downsides of 2020 being the lack of Counter-Strike events, and in lieu of the lands and majors and minor system, you have online quote unquote majors and stuff like that, and a fallout with the players union and stuff in the CS:GO scene and the competitive side of it, and a kind of deteriorating and being abandoned by a lot of people. We see a
Right.
large migration over to Valorant, who's done online almost flawlessly.
Yep.
Every single tournament has been online since it released, which wasn't planned. I'm sure they planned to have lands and they planned to have this kind of big inaugural tournament
Sure.
season come out, but they took it. They said, "Oh, we need to do online. That's fine. We've got the servers to do online. We can do
I
that."
think I, I think that's one of the things that surprised me the most about, and I think I talked about this shortly in brief last week when they didn't win an award at the Game Awards this year, Valorant.
Yeah,
And that kind of bugged me
it's
because the
lame.
fact that they were able to launch and go from launch to major tournament all within the span of, just a few months. It was 6, 7 months probably.
6 months.
I think that's insane. That's insane that anything or anybody has been able to complete that
Yeah,
and do it successfully.
exactly.
To have all of this pro following and to reach record highs for the TAC FPS scene on Twitch and things of that nature. I feel
100.
like that deserved a little more recognition. I
I
don't know, it
agree.
kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Eh, it happens. Maybe it's the bias against Riot because they win a whole lot of stuff all the time.
It's true. Yeah,
But
they kind of have a monopoly on the major esports scene,
yeah, but
but they do it right.
they pour a lot into it too. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about this game is they put competitive first. In almost
Yeah,
any game and any genre, the competitive scene is usually a small but very enfranchised vocal minority of the game.
top 10%
You
probably.
know, but when you can please that group of people, it will trickle out to the masses,
Yes.
and they will reap the benefits of what needed to be changed so that it's in a healthy game state.
Right.
So I'm sure a bunch of casuals really thought it was fun when you could jump crouch with a judge and spray people down from 40 feet away. But it was, yeah, Jetmain over here, Mr. Rums. But people
Pop
understand that that's not a
cheeks.
healthy thing, and then when casuals start to get frustrated with it, and competitive players are like, this is actually stupid, they can catch it a lot earlier rather than letting it run rampant for months on end before being
Right.
changed. I'm looking at you, previous off changes, CS:GO, when you let that run rampant for a few months before actually doing anything to change it. So I don't know. And it feels good. I feel like Valorant is a really good thing that's come out of gaming in 2020. They did a lot of
Yep.
stuff really, really well. They let the scene naturally progress as far as teams and stuff go. They didn't immediately institute like an Overwatch League clone or something like that. They had a kind of this grassroots scene, let the teams build upon each other, kind of throwing money
Yeah.
here and there to stifle, or to raise it up when they can and kind of influence the growth of the scene in general, which I think is really cool. And they kind of let it
Right.
grow the direction that it wanted it to, and they said, okay, this is a good direction. Let's do this to round it out. And then really put on a really, really good show for
That's
First Strike,
yeah.
right? So, I don't know, man. I like it. I think we ended in a good
Yeah.
place.
I think
as far as
we're gonna
Valorant goes.
see. We for sure have not seen the end of Valorant.
No, I mean, they've already
This
announced the
this
big tournament
game,
structure next year. So,
yeah, this game is going to be around for. It's going to be the next. I can't. I struggle to say that it's going to be the next CS:GO, but it's not. It's not going to be the next CS:GO. It's going to be the next Valorant.
yeah, it's going to be the next FPS
It's going to
game.
be. It's going to be another FPS game that's involved in the scene that everybody is, thinking, looking, talking at. So
Well, it's gonna be this. It's gonna be another mainstream. It's gonna be the first big mainstream FPS esports since the inaugural Overwatch, right?
Right.
So inaugural Overwatch was huge. They were playing it in sports bars, Buffalo Wild Wings, ESPN had games on coverage. People were freaking
remember
out
that.
about it, right?
yeah.
And then it kind of just slowly died off because they oversaturated the environment with extra content and heroes, and then had it cannibalize itself off of the hero pool
Yep.
selection and limitations and stuff like that.
People got burnt out, and
Right.
then that
And
was-
and we've seen that this year kind of come and reach the rock bottom for Overwatch, and a lot of those marquee players leaving Overwatch for Valorant, because while the agents are unique, the predominant part of the game that's enjoyable is the gunplay. It's the ability to take the fights the way that you do over and over again, and it change and vary, and mastering that skill.
Yeah.
And you don't have to limit the amounts of agents that are in the pool because you can attack it from so many angles, and
so many different angles.
it still work.
Yeah, I think that's what I enjoyed a lot about Overwatch. Is it really didn't matter how you took the fight; it was how you handled the fight. The fact that you more or less could round a corner, just about in any given scenario, and not get domed, unless there's a particularly good hit scan Widowmaker on the other team. But the fact that you could take that fight and there were just so many different, there was near infinite options when it came to how you wanted to handle the fight, and it ended up being like a individual mastery on your abilities and how you took fights and stuff. But
for sure, no, I agree, and that was a unique point of it. But I think it died out because they killed like the player, what was it, the hero rotational thing.
Yeah.
And the pro scene, when they said, well, these characters are legal and these characters aren't, we're doing these map pools and then these map pools and then this character rotation. It's a lot to keep up with. And it causes a kind of downfall, especially in those high skill games that aren't reliant on variance.
Right.
It's one thing to have a rotation in a trading card game like Magic or Pokemon, because that variance is something that you deal with on a day-to-day basis and it's built into the mechanics of the game. Whereas Overwatch, it's a finite amount of events that can actually happen and handle, and by introducing extra variance into that, it kind of deteriorates pretty quickly. But some of the things I didn't like about Valorant, I think, was biting off too much to chew with things like Icebox, trying to get too unique out the bat with certain run-of-the-mill aspects that you might expect from the beginning of the game. They tried to push this super unique map and intake with the verticality of the map and the kind of 50-50 angle nature of the game. And it felt nice at the beginning. And then as the map kind of got figured out, it became very quickly one of the most one-sided maps in the game, which I think is a not so good thing. You want most of the maps to be close to 50-50.
Icebox is, I think, going to be just one of Riot's, big follies over the course of Valorant. There's pros all across the scene that say Icebox is just an absolute dumpster of a map.
Yep.
It still is, even with the changes.
Dog water.
I will still remain that Icebox is just not a good map.
No, it's getting there. It's getting back to average, which is nice.
They did, like you said, they did try something new. It's like, okay, let's include all this verticality in a map. That's something that nobody's done in attack FPS to date,
right?
Except maybe Siege on a couple of maps, but
there's a couple like two stories and stuff like that. Yeah.
But that's built, part of that's built into Siege's mechanics, the fact that you can rappel up the side of a wall and stuff.
And every character can do that, right?
Every character can do it. It's not just a jet updraft or a raise satchel or, So I liked what they were getting at, but I didn't like the execution.
I do think that they're coming back into the realm where they need to be. A little bit of verticality is nice. Varying the angles is nice. Kind of creating multiple ways to play certain sites. But I think they really need to open up the B side of the map a little bit more. Maybe tinker with the mid and the way that it's distributed. I could see kind of like a 2/3 map rework on Icebox coming into play next year. And that being something really successful, which is kind of cool. So
the other thing that I didn't like about Valorant throughout its launch, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention everybody's favorite agent, Viper.
Yeah.
I really like Viper. Okay, Viper has been a topic that we've had on the podcast several times.
Yeah.
And I will remain that she is very fun. Her kit is very unique, and she is very fun to play.
It's really cool.
It's very fun to play. The way she handles, the way you can kind of be sneaky through your kit, the way you can, block certain angles and play around it. It's unique. It's very unique. But she's just not that good.
Nope.
Sorry.
But so my thing is, it's a competitive game. It's going to have a meta. There has to be a worse.
Of course.
There has to be a worst character.
I think in any game across the gaming community, there's going to be a certain meta. Something is always going to be better than others. But at some point, you have to look at who's performing and who's not performing.
And shake it up.
And you have to realize that this person who's not performing has not been performing since beta.
Yep.
And in any given scenario, you would never take her over somebody else.
Right.
I think that calls for change and balances.
I really would like to see them. I think if they changed her ultimate, she would see a lot more play and be a lot more cohesive to a team. So they play with this acid kind of approach. I think it'd be really cool as like an ultimate for her to like soak her ammunition in acid rounds. And if she hits someone with the acid rounds, then it does dots over time if you tag somebody with them or something like that. I think that'd be kind of an interesting take. Or you throw, you can like...
I think that would be, to me, that would be it'd be a little too different. You know, I want to play off of Viper's Pit. I really enjoy that mindset. The problem is Viper's Pit just is kind of bad.
Yeah.
It obscures a lot of angles, and it's very good if you're trying to lock down a site and you hear a fast push and you can ult, and a lot of times it's going to force a rotation if played correctly.
Right.
But there's also the thing of if she ults to stop that push, they can see exactly where you put it out. All they have to do is spray it, and they're probably going to get you. So, I like the idea. I like the idea of Viper's Pit. Okay, so I want to play off of something of that Viper's Pit. Go ahead.
What if Viper's Pit dropped down like a brimstone smoke?
In that it did damage in just the radius?
No, like you get to place it like a brimstone smoke.
And it dropped down like a smoke bomb?
Yeah, no, you drop Viper Pit.
Yeah.
And it hits, and then it expands from wherever you drop it and fills that area. But you can do it from far away. You don't have to do it in person. I don't think
that would be bad. I think it would be better to balance it as if it launched like a snake bite or like a molly. You know, so where cool. you load up your Viper's Pit, and then you punk, and then it...
She shoots it out? Yeah, that could work. That could work too, but that's what I'm saying. Is like you get to throw it from somewhere else. Maybe
I think that
learn a bounce lineup.
But the thing is I have a friend in one of my other Discords who he's a Viper main.
Right.
Okay, and I have to tell him consistently whenever Viper gets buffed, I say, okay, that helps. You know, that buff is definitely needed, but it doesn't fix the issue at play, and that Viper's abilities are just inherently not as good as the other agents.
That's true.
Every ability Viper has, somebody else has a better ability. Even with the vulnerability of the snake bite on the molly, because her molly dot is next to nothing.
Right, you just kind of run through
it. You can tank Viper molly and be just fine. The real danger with the Viper molly is the vulnerability, and the issue with the vulnerability is if your gun is not trained to that angle, or if your teammate isn't trained on that angle, the vulnerability does nothing.
It just goes away.
It just goes away. So, you know, maybe like a KJ, you couple that with like a KJ turret or something, and you try to get some chip damage going out. But
for sure,
all of her abilities just has something or somebody that does it better, and you're just gonna want to pick that other person every time. She's just not viable in any given scenario. So
no, I agree.
I don't like Viper. That was one thing that I don't like what Riot released.
Right.
In regards to Valorant for 2020. So
no, I would see that too. The pre-nerf operator was another thing, but they fixed the operator really well. It wasn't that the operator was too much of an issue pre-nerf, but like the dead zone accuracy of the landing jump shots and the other shenanigans of those aggressive angles was pretty necessary.
Yeah, the thing with the operator, I don't think the operator by itself, like you said, was the most oppressive point. It was
a combination of a couple of things.
It was the jet operator that was just so oppressive.
Yeah,
Jet's inherent mobility, trimmed with the dead zone accuracy, where you can just jump a corner and then you get your kill, you E, and then you're gone.
Yeah,
you can't fight it. You actually cannot fight it if it's done correctly. Now that you have a little more of a chance. There's a small window where you can react, but
right, and I think that brought it into a good region, I guess you could say. Like even if you were to tweak Jet or change Jet in some way that kind of neuters another character, the small tweak to that dead zone on the operator, I think, is what made a big difference. Personally,
and so. I think it balanced Jet too, because rifle Jet is strong, but it's not operator Jet strong.
Right. No, she's definitely a powerful agent, but
yeah. So anyway,
that's okay. The other thing, kind
I
of in.
like.
Oh, go
Go ahead.
ahead. No, you're fine. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Nope. Sticking to
That's
my
how
guns
this is.
here.
That's how it's gonna work, huh? So, what?
Send it.
One of the. Hold on.
Okay, so I'll speak on Sky at this point. Then I like Sky. Okay, Sky is a decent agent. The problem with Sky is that I think her blinds are too long, and I think she just has one too many. For
I would agree with Sky.
the duration of Sky's blind, and the amount of blinds that Sky has, it's a hair too aggressive.
It's one pushed.
Her ultimate sound is god awful. It's just, it's like you need to stop, please.
It's a recording.
Change it, and it's also bugged too. But
it can be
a bug where it like flies
in the wrong directions. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I think if they took Sky one's flash down, and then adjusted the cost to be a little bit better, I think she'd be fine. But the third flash is kind of super silly, personally. But yeah, no, I mean, other than that, I'm pretty happy. Like, I'd rate Valorant 9 out of 10 for its first year. It's really, really good.
I would say I don't like ranked right now either.
I don't either. I'm okay with it just because it's a Riot game, and Riot ranked is historically not that great. But
it's true.
That being said, we are getting some major rank adjustments, and for the other people who are data nerds or computer nerds in general, there is a guy. He runs the Valorant Leak Twitter account. Does a lot of data mining and interactions with the API, that kind of thing. And he recently has come out with an overlay. If you watch me when I'm streaming here live for games, you'll see it. It's a live elo tracker, which means that they're updating hard elo values in the API that we have access to, which means that it can eventually transfer to visible data or imaging.
You can track your
progress. Yes, which is something they've massively been hinting about for next act, which is Act 2 that starts next year.
Huge.
I know, it's massive. So
that's going to be really big for people trying to, actually see visual improvement.
For sure. No, it gives you basically what it does is it gives you a value in RP, which is like the league system. LP, I think is what it's called in League, where you have 0 to 100 to rank up, and when you hit 100, you win a game you promo. And it'll tell you your plus or minus depending on the games that you play, so you can get really sad or get really happy depending on if you're winning or losing and how you're winning and losing. And it'll give you a hard elo number to kind of reference point where you're at on the ladder, which is kind of cool. And you don't have to be a streamer to use it. Basically what it does is it opens an exe file, or opens up a folder that has an exe file in it. You log in, and you can just run it as an application on your computer. Run it in the background, run it on a second monitor, whatever. And if you want it on your stream, you just do a window capture. It's easy peasy, but super dope.
Yeah, pretty cool. I'm glad that we can start to see visual improvements. I think that's very important when you're trying to improve on just about anything.
I agree.
Physical fitness or mastery of anything.
Getting results, man. Seeing results matters.
It is huge.
Huge. So, as for the upcoming year, there's obviously tons of stuff we want to see from Valorant. I'm going to get the easy ones out of the way. New characters, new maps. Obviously.
I want new maps before new agents.
Yeah, but we're getting a new agent we know within the next couple months, and they're pushing 2 more maps out next year. They said at a minimum. Within the, I believe, first quarter, they're going to try to push 2 maps for the initial tournament series. They went it out before Masters, so they have a 7-map rotation for Masters, which is super dope. I want to see them start to adapt and adopt a league-style play for professional play, like a season where teams play each other multiple times within a unified tournament, not tournament setting, but like a unified season setting, into a playoffs, into a championship, kind of like a traditional sports path. I think that's the best way to do it with games that are this intense and can be played at such a close level in the high level. I think that's where we need to take it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen next year, but I want to see them start to talk about it and develop it.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Having a whole season, that'd be awesome to just watch pro players play.
I think we
all the time.
We said a couple weeks ago, like
you think
baseball.
It would get boring for them
for pros
if they played like a baseball style season? You think
I don't know. So the difference between a regular player and a pro player is that they're wired differently, and to play something at the top level, whether it's cards or sports or whatever, is every aspect of what you're working on engrosses your life, right? You naturally just don't get bored of it because you want to attain a certain level that you don't get the satisfaction just by being radiant, just by being rated number 2 or whatever like that. Yep. They are quite literally built and wired different. You are correct, men in the chat and rooms. I remember, so like Magic. I used to grind really hard on the Magic Pro Tour and some circuits and stuff like that. And I actually reached, I was 5 pro points off of gold level pro before they did away with the pro point system. And everything that I did in my free time and my workspace and everything was enveloped about analyzing tournament play, analyzing my games, analyzing decks, testing, retrying the decks over and over and over again. You might say, wow, that sounds really boring, like you burned yourself out. But the thing is I couldn't do it enough. I wanted to just do it more.
Yeah.
Because every step that you take gets you closer to that goal.
Yep.
And a lot of people who just play the game for fun, there's like, wow, I couldn't play Valorant for 14 hours a day. While I think a majority of those pros who do play 14 hours a day, like Hiko, wish they could play more on a more consistent basis without destroying themselves. Because Hiko wakes up, he streams for 7 to 8 hours, he goes and works out for an hour, eats dinner, and then he goes to team practice and scrims until 11. Then he goes to sleep, and then he wakes up and does the same thing from 8 a.m. until when he gets off on a stream every day, 6 days a week with a day off.
Man. Couldn't be me.
Which is crazy. But that's kind of what you want out of that lifestyle when you reach the top level. So no, I don't think they'd get bored with a 152 game season. I think the nature of the game and the way that it's played and the amount of targeted stress that it puts on a human body, things like your wrist, your hands, your fingers, the way that those tendons kind of interact, plus things like eye strain, the posture. Naturally playing games like that is unhealthy because you're not getting a lot of physical activity and that kind of stuff. So I don't think that you could do that with the best intention for the players in mind. But could I see a pretty regular 80-game season with a playoffs at the end of the year and then giving them a month and a half rest, and then coming back on a pretty regular schedule? Yeah, I think that's entirely doable.
I think that'd be pretty easy now that I think about it to work in, because pro players scrim a lot.
Yes.
Scrim a lot more than they let on, because scrims just aren't really talked about. So those scrims could just turn into seasonal games.
Exactly.
That'd be it.
You'd get so let's take the MLB as a model. For those that don't know, MLB is the Major League Baseball league in America. We do have some international listers, so it's played with like 152 games in the season, and 152 games in the season, and teams play 162 games in a season.
Yeah, okay.
And teams play 3 games and then have 2 days off and then play 3 games. Sometimes they'll have a bigger space between the 2 days off for travel, depending on the series and things like that. But in general, they're playing anywhere from 3 to 4 games a week on the low average, right?
Yeah, a series.
A series per week, right? So it's they play 3 games, they travel for a day or 2, or they travel for a day, they rest a day, and then they play 3 games. Or sometimes they'll play 4 games, depending on different things in the league. So for us to adapt that into Valorant, we would need 3 days a week, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that are league days, where the different divisions, so NA, Europe, Latin America, Oceania, Japan, Korea, all that kind of stuff. Each of those will have a division of teams that play 1 game a day, and then the next day they play 1 game a day, and then the next game they play 1 game a day, or a series, so 2 out of 3 if you want to do 2 out of 3 for their records, and that's it. That's what they play for the day. They play 1, 2 out of 3, they're done. And then the rest of that day they can choose to go practice, they can do individual work, they can do VOD review, and then they have the other 3 days to do prep work, and they come back in, they do the same thing. So let's say you do 2 out of 3 and you have 6 teams in a division. They play 2 out of 3, 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 2 out of 3. Done. That's 3 games a day for 3 days. and then you work into a postseason. That postseason is a typical tournament style playoff that we're used to now, and to a grand finals for whatever. Or you have a world qualification system similar to league, where each division sends 2 teams.
I think you could even you could cut it down to 2 games a day if you wanted, because
sure, it just depends on how big they want the divisions to be.
If you go 1-1, you tie that day, but you can still take the 1-1 for the next day, and if you tie that, then you tie the series. You tie that 3 games, or that 3-day, I guess it would be 3-day series. It would be a 6 game series.
I think it's all dependent on how many teams you want in a division. I think the sweet spot number is probably 8 teams per division or divisional region.
Yeah.
And then that allows you to play 3 games a day with a bye for one of the teams every week, or 2 of the teams, I guess, every week technically. Or you play 4 games a day. You can situate it how you want so that there's adequate rest for them to kind of maintain a healthier lifestyle, and still play 2 out of 3 series, which is I think what a majority of people want. And then those people get to take it onto the record. So like you have C9 versus Genji, and then you have TSM versus Sentinels, and you have 100 Thieves versus Envy. And that's your Thursday card lineup. And then they play 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. They take that record. So that's, TSM is 1-0, 100 Thieves is 1-0, and Genji is 100-0 or 1-0. And they move into the next day. And the next day they play a different series against a different team. And you kind of cycle through however many games you need to until you finish your season out. I think a lot of esports make the mistake of cutting those seasons really short.
Yeah.
And then the rosters all cycle, and then they go into the next one. It's hard to build hardcore fan bases.
No continuity.
Right. Whereas if you extend the season, even if teams are playing multiple times, you could have like a mid-season LAN between regions, when there's no plague, where you have an all-star break or something like that, which would be really, really cool.
Take now as a prime example, like the timing of now for Valorant.
Yeah.
It's hard to be an esports fan for Valorant right now because there's just nothing going on.
Yeah. We're just kind of in the downtime.
We're just in between tourneys. And I know that there was a minor tourney a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think. But, other than that, you're just kind of floating around, looking at content creators.
Yeah, you're in the post-preseason.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no time currently where you feel like you're a fan of a certain org unless it's a tourney.
Right. And those feel seasonal, which is what you kind of want to avoid, I think. One of the things that I like so much about baseball, even after I've stopped playing it, is that I can always turn on the TV, find the Red Sox game, and enjoy myself while I watch the team play.
True.
Or I can turn on the TV, find the Braves game, and enjoy myself watching one of my teams play.
Yeah, and even if you miss the team game, that day, you just check.
You're like, oh well,
real quick. Oh cool, my Mariners won today.
There's my store, and then oh well, they're just gonna play again in 2 days. I'll catch that game. Or they're gonna play tomorrow. I'll catch that game. And that doesn't really exist with the rapid style tournament play, with the what I like to call the fighting game tree. They've really kind of taken on the FGC bracketology, which I think is bad for FPSs in general. I'd rather see it more like an LCS kind of thing. Yeah. Just the thing that I think the LCS does wrong is that each team only plays once, and then they're done. I'd rather see them play a best of 3, and then a best of 3, and then a best of 3, which at most is like a 6-hour block, 6.5-hour block. So you can start that mid-ish day and then move on from there. Which could pose some other problems. Or maybe it
could amount to a lot.
Yeah.
I understand that. Which is why I was kind of thinking like a 2-game, because...
Well, a 2-game series could be pretty cool too, and you keep total matches.
If you figure 40-minute Valorant games and you're thinking a best of 3, you're looking at potentially 160 to 180 minutes worth of Valorant, which is 3 hours. So that's not a lot, but if you're somebody who's 17, 18, haven't quite made it out of high school, it's going to start posing real problems.
It can actually do some issues, yeah.
I think 2 games is probably the sweet spot. 2 games a day for
2 games could actually work well, and you count individual map count, I think, instead of game count. You don't say, oh, well, they've won this set and lost this set and tied this set because they went 1-1. You just count raw maps. Say they won this many maps, they lost this many maps, they tied this many maps. That kind of thing. And then that's why you have the bye week with the large enough divisions, so that it it varies who goes when and where.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is that like if they play 2 games a day and they take one map and lose one map, then that day is 1-1. So take 100
that
Thieves
goes
for
in their over
example.
account.
They went 1-1 on the day, and then the next day, if they go 2-0, then they've essentially won the series.
So they're 3-1.
Yeah.
Are you saying play the same team multiple days in a row?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would play. So it would be 100 Thieves versus C9 on one day. They'd play twice. They would go whatever they went 1-1. Next day they would play C9 again if they went 2-0.
And then they'd take that series and then move on.
C9 goes 2-0, and then the series is tied. That's it.
Okay.
Kind of true to baseball, where they play the same team 3 or 4 days in a row.
Yeah, the difference I guess is forming sets. So like, what if you did a best 2 out of 3, but it took place over 3 days?
Yeah, that could work too.
So like you play map 1 on Thursday, map 2 on Friday, map 3 on Saturday, and then it cycles. That might be a pretty cool thing to do as well.
That's what I was thinking of.
That might be kind of cool.
I thought of my ideal league or series.
I like that idea a lot.
It was playing one team for 3 days in a row for 1 to 2 games a day.
Right.
And then you just span that out over 3 days. And then you get to watch, fans get to watch 100 Thieves versus C9 for 3 days.
Right.
If you miss one day,
you watch it the next day.
Crap, I missed this
That's
day.
A really good. That's a really good
There's
point.
another game tomorrow. I can watch it.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you're a constant fan, of 100 Thieves, because like I'm an SSG fan, but I have nothing to watch. There's nothing for me to. There's no content for me to consume.
No, I agree.
Alex in the chat says, "Why do you think the esports season framework doesn't look more like mainstream sports like baseball?" Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
I have a really good answer to this because I actually know. So, in high school, I had to do a senior project. My senior project was on the history of esports, and some other things that went into that, specifically with the business of esports and marketing, that kind of thing. So traditional esports, as far as like the original esports and things that first got their start, were things like fighting games or grassroots MOBAs with things like Dota 2, Quake, anything
Smite.
Sure. Well, okay, yeah. So MOBAs. I'm talking like OG, the original batch of esports to kind of kick into gear, right? So and then you had original StarCraft, Source. These things that kind of took place were very grassroots. So groups of people that really cared about it, wanted to organize a tournament to see who was the best at it, didn't have a lot of money or sponsoring or support from the publishers or companies or anything like that. Yeah, like Warcraft 3, Dota, yeah. So
at this point, it wasn't recognized as like a huge...
Right, it was just nerds wanting to play video games.
Nerds playing video games.
Yeah, like a glorified LAN party. So what they had to do instead was rent out a venue for a couple of days at a time and take in money, and people pay in money to enter these quick tournaments, play through a bracket, and then at the end of that bracket, that's who won that last tournament. They're the best until the next tournament comes around.
Yep.
And as esports started to take more popularity, especially around the mid-2000s, especially with the introduction of something like League of Legends, which was the big foray into Western esports, we kind of got to see this blossom into a billion-dollar industry that can support a more traditional structure as a source of entertainment, which is what we've seen slowly adapted as the LCS took place. I believe the first LCS that started was in season 3, because season 2 was still grassroots, and season 1 they held like a couple tournaments. Season 2 they had the initial framework of organizations with things like solo mid and a couple of other things taking form, and then I believe in season 3 or season 4 was the first actual iteration of the championship series for the NA, which is when they played a certain string of games that led into record differentials that led to a playoff that led to a championship. And that garnered a whole lot of the popularity that League of Legends kind of got to craft. So I think it's that we've done it the old way for so long that when tournament organizers step up into a new environment or into a new game, or new people come along into a new game, they do it the old way because it's comfortable and they know how, instead of trying to look for inspiration elsewhere. But some people have actually done it pretty well. Specifically, Japan actually ran a ongoing tournament series that happened once a week with a certain amount of games from certain people that are involved in the league, from like I think 32 teams. They played through the entire summer and then had a final day where they had the playoffs and championship as a traditional tournament setting. And it went really well and it was really well received. It's just we kind of have to play catch up again on the Western front,
I think
like we normally do with that kind of stuff.
I think we're starting to see it, and I think that's
Oh
something
yeah.
that's very exciting for
Oh
the
yeah.
future of esports and Valorant in general.
100%.
We're starting to see, like you said, this industry start to culminate enough of a following to the point where it can transition to consistent paying of players and reliable daily games. And I think that's
Yes.
something that's wild, and that's something that we should all be privileged to see, because it's a new sport being essentially born to, the wide public, because esports has been around for a few years, but it's only for, the niche like you and I who are on our computers and stuff. But
Yeah, the end franchise, but it's starting to come
correct.
around differently,
Yeah.
which is super
Yeah.
nice.
Good. Good talk.
But that's why is we did the normal Western thing where we've been doing something one way for so long that we've been afraid to kind of change it, and now that we found kind of some newer ways to do it, slowly people are starting to branch out and try it out, which is kind of cool. So I'm excited to kind of see where that future goes, and I fully think that a league is the right way to take this. And if you think about it, more screen time is more advertiser time, is more money, which gets poured back into the game, which is the main thing. That, I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. They need a way to make money. That's how you're going to make your money. Look at the CDL, right? So the CDL took the Overwatch League, so the Call of Duty League took the Overwatch League model, refined it, made it better, and got to push it into more mainstream media and mainstream accounts, and it has become one of the most watched esports in the world.
Right.
And it's an NA focused esport, right? And there are people all over the place watching the CDL. So
yeah,
we have a good foundation.
It's
Riot
exciting,
has a really good foundation in esports, so I'm really excited to see what they do. But yeah, I mean that's really what I want to see. I want to see the evolution of the esports a little bit, and I just want to see new maps, new agents, man. I want to see at least 2 new maps by March, hopefully. Maybe April at the latest, and I want to see this new agent that's supposedly invisible because I think it sounds fun.
I want 2 maps to 1 agent.
I think that's the plan right now for them too, which is nice.
I think we have enough agents at this point.
For sure. I just want one more so I can fill out the selector box, because right now it's one off from being even. So as soon as we get one more, I'm happy. I'm happy for so long.
The bar is just
because the bars will be even, which makes me happy. So
true.
But I'm excited. As for the show, we're kind of wrapping up into the end of our time here. But as for the show, kind of our goals next year, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a loop. We're still going to talk about what we want when we want to. You'll probably hear a whole lot of Valorant content. So if you dig the Valorant content, stick around. Give us a like, give us a follow. Make sure you join us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Not every Wednesday. Sometimes we move it around because we are adults and have lives. But most Wednesdays, you can come join us at 8 p.m. and talk to us, join the Discord, get in on the conversation, give us some topic feedback, all that kind of good stuff.
Please.
And next year we talk about some normal game stuff too. We're not strangers to other games. We've been playing a lot of MMOs. I'm personally looking forward to Ashes of Creation, seeing how that game comes out, because they put out some new videos and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of all I got for the year end. Anything from you,
I'm
Matt?
excited. I hope. I hope 2021 is better than 2020.
It can't be any worse for the most part.
It couldn't get worse.
Yeah,
that's true.
But
there's a few games, for my looking forward to 2021. There's a few games that I'm looking forward to. Hitman 3 is one.
Oh, I didn't know they're making another Hitman.
Should be fun. They're making a Bond game that's coming out at some point. Yeah, so
GoldenEye in 4K.
In case you didn't watch the Game Awards and get the teaser announcement.
Yeah.
IO Interactive, the maker of Hitman,
which is
the new Hitman,
wonderful
which
company.
is an amazing game. They are making a Bond game.
Oh,
they're making a Bond game.
Yes.
So I'm really excited for that. I don't know when it's releasing. But,
is it based off the Daniel Craig Bond? Do you know?
I don't think so.
I really like the Daniel Craig Bond.
I could be wrong. I think it's the Connery Bond, but
I'm less excited.
I'm not sure. I could be completely wrong.
We're hearing boss music when the ball drops.
It could even just be its own.
It might just be like a standalone Bond. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool too.
It wouldn't be bad. And then the other thing I want to see in 2021, I want to see Elder Scrolls 6. I want to see something.
So they showed, was that E3 this year or last year that they showed E3 footage or Elder Six Scrolls footage on the new engine.
I don't think it was last year. I think it was year prior.
Maybe. Time
It's
kind
been
of
a
runs together when you're an
while.
adult.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it and freaking out and then never seeing anything about it
The
again.
teaser, ES6 teaser. They dropped one teaser, and
do you think it'll have inherent multiplayer?
no.
But come on.
I hope not.
But I want to play Elder Scrolls 6 with you, and hit you with lightning bolts while we run around the town.
I can't find it, but I want to see more Starfield, and I want to see more. I want to see more out of Bethesda.
I'd be down. They've been kind of quiet.
They've been pretty quiet. You know, they have made a mobile game or two, which
you guys have phones.
Pretty low effort to me.
Yeah,
I want
Elder Scrolls until it dies.
More
riding Skyrim.
I want to see more from my favorite developer, but they are on thin ice with me.
I agree.
They need to do a few right things to hold that spot in my heart because they're in jeopardy.
It's understandable. As for the rest of the show, some expectations next year. My school schedule inherently lightens next year. I'm rounding out into my last 2 semesters, so I only have a couple of classes left. So you could expect some more streams. I'm going to try to adopt some. My goal next year is to kind of put out some extra videos, either clipped gameplay from Valorant stuff, or maybe some highlight reels, or just some smaller content here and there when I have time. Hopefully that works. I'll also be planning a wedding, so I may just be as busy as I was before, and have some other some other work opportunities and stuff coming up with some tech internships and stuff like that I'll get to apply to come January. But the goal is to put out some extra content for you guys next year and see our numbers grow up some more. We did pretty good. We've been doing this for 2 months ish, something like that.
What, the cast?
Yeah. I don't remember when we started.
Has it been only 2 months?
It hasn't been very long. I can look back at the files, but we haven't been doing it for very long, and we've got some pretty good numbers. We're rated in the top 5 of the Valorant podcast according to some sources, which is kind of cool.
There was a email that we got today from some gaming blog. We were 5th. Out of 15 Valorant.
I didn't know that. I was just talking about FPS games.
Our Twitter numbers are so low compared to the other people. So I'm like, how the hell are we?
Yes, you guys need to follow us on Twitter.
Maybe 15 followers on Twitter, and it's we're above people who have hundreds of followers on Twitter. It's okay. I mean, I'm glad. But
I need to tweet more next year too. Shit. But you need to follow us on Twitter at OneTapCast. Interact with us there. But
yeah, please.
I think that's all I got. Rounding out for the night. For the year, wholeheartedly, and we thank you guys. Can't thank you enough. Please just follow us, hit the subscribe button, all that kind of good stuff. According to August, okay, that makes sense. So, but we love you guys. We will see you next year. Dad joke, but follow us at the OneTapCast, at Solemn FPS, and at Actual Rums for all of your daily uploads and memes. Join us in the Discord. And as always, we will catch you guys next time. Have some great games. Have a good one.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Bye.